Good morning, Algebra 2. Let's go ahead and get started. So this week we're going to go ahead and get started with Lesson 2-4, solving multi-step equations with variables on both sides. So I found this, well, you know what? I didn't find it. I just kind of thought about it. You know, Thinking about multi-step equations, and I thought about, much like life, every problem does not require the same steps to solve a problem. So what that means is like multi-step equations, we learn in a lot of different ways of how to solve for the variable, but we don't always go about it doing the same step. And just for instance, like when we have to navigate around different places or through different things, we all take our own way of how we get to where we need to go, but overall taking the same similar steps. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. So let's look at our first example. So if you saw there, I said we're going to start with 2-4. And here is the front page if you just need to see what that looks like. All right. And just looking at that, I'm going to go, like I said, just go ahead and jump in. First example I like to start with is 10x equals 2x minus 6. All right, so first thing we want to do is combine our variables to one side. So we have 10x and 2x. I always like to move my variable to the side that's going to always end up being positive. So with that being said, I have 2x, so I'm going to subtract 2x on this side. And remember, when we're doing with algebraic equations, whatever we do to one side, we want to do on the other side. So that was a positive, make that negative. Now I have a negative here, so 10 minus 2 is 8x. 8x equals negative 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I wrote that wrong. Negative 16. So then you are going to do the opposite or the inverse operation. So if this is multiplication, the inverse operation, or to undo it, would be to divide. So we're going to divide by 8 on both sides. 8 goes into 8 one time, leaving you with the x. 8 goes into negative 16 2 times. And since our solution was a negative, then this has to be negative. Because remember, a negative times a positive gives you a negative. So that's for that example. And then let's see, here is another example from the page. And I'm just doing an easy start. All right, so here they start off with the distributive property. And remember, that's when we distribute a number or variable across every term inside the parentheses. So 5 times x gives you 5x. 5 times 2 gives you 10. Then we're going to just bring this down. And so like the other example, we are going to put all the like terms to one side. So that's a positive x. We're going to make a negative x to bring it over here. We did negative x on that side of the equal side, do negative x on this side. So 3 plus a negative 5 gives you a negative 2x. And then we bring down our 10. So negative 2 goes into x, which is multiplication. So we're going to do the inverse operation or opposite. So we're going to divide by negative 2. And then we're going to divide by negative 2. Negative 2 goes into negative 2 1 time, leaving you with 1x. Negative 2 goes into 10 5 times. Now, we made that positive because we already had up. No, it's going to be negative. Because remember, a negative times a negative gives you positive. Awesome. All right, so that's the example there. Now, if we had some steps that we wanted to go to, I would think we would go with, and when I say steps, it's not necessarily the order as it is the steps that may be required to solve it. So thinking of steps, one step would be if the distributed property was involved, we would do that. All right, we would combine like terms. We would collect like terms. To either side. We would do what? The inverse operation to make that happen. I'm sorry. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it. And then simplify the equation. Make my own spelling of the as needed. So, kind of like I said from the beginning, every problem does not require the same steps to solve. So those are some of the steps that you would take to go about it. All right, so let's move on. Here's another example. It's a little longer. All right, here's another example. So, looking at this, I'm going to identify and combine like terms. And like terms, I mean by A and A, those are alike. So I have negative 6A plus 4A. And we know when we have a negative and a positive, we're going to subtract when we're working with integers. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2A. We're going to bring our 4 down. Bring our equal sign down. Now, on this side, we're going to do the distributive property first. So, negative 5 times 7 gives us negative 35. And then negative 5 times negative 2a gives us positive 10a. And remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. And here, we're just going to bring our negative 1 down. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward. All right, so we're going to combine like terms. Negative 1 plus negative 35 gives us negative 36. Then we bring down our 10a. All right, so let's move our $36 over to the other side. So if it's negative, we're going to do the opposite, which is positive 36. And then we're going to put positive 36. That's going to cancel out, leaving us with 10a. Oh. And then we have our positive 36 over here. So 36 plus 4 gives us 40. But now we have our negative 2. So we're going to bring our variables all to one side. So if this was positive, if this is negative, then we're going to add a positive 2a. And then we're going to add a positive 2a. Negative and a positive cancels each other out, leaving us with just the 40. 2 plus 10 is 12. Give us 12a. But again, we want to isolate our variable because we want to know what does a equal. So to do that, we are going to remember anytime you have a number and a variable together, it's going to be multiplication. So the opposite would be to divide. So 12 goes into 12 one time, leaving you with a. 12 goes into 40 3 times, which gives you 36. My bad. See, that's the wonderful thing